Doctor Who Season 1 Episode 3 Boom, written by Stephen Moffat, was Doctor Who's best episode in a while. So the episode premise follows that the Doctor and Ruby land on an alien planet and the Doctor steps on a landmine. This is during a war with religious soldiers that we've seen a lot of in Stephen Moffat's writing. The soldiers believe that they are fighting an alien enemy, but they're not. They're fighting an algorithm of their mechanical ambulances that have to meet a quota, so end up killing their own soldiers. And that's it. The episode mainly takes place in this one spot, the one spot where the Doctor is standing on a landmine that's about to explode, and due to him being a Time Lord, the explosion would be a lot bigger than it would be if it was just a human, meaning that if he steps off this landmine or he falls off it, the planet's exploding. One of the main soldiers in this episode is actually the future companion for Series 2 of Doctor Who, and they are very well written. We see the person they're falling in love with die in this. There's a very gruesome concept that when you die, your body gets compacted into a tube-like substance instead of ashes, and it's very dark. This episode is a very heavy tone shift from the previous two episodes, which were maybe a little bit more light. This is an incredibly dark episode. The Doctor cries, there's a very emotional scene between him and Ruby even gets shot, and she faces her own morality. I'm really liking the dynamics between Ruby and the Doctor here, and it's an incredibly emotional episode. I also love the fact that we get introduced to the brand new companion in this episode for next season, really setting her up, because she's got a pretty tragic backstory here. This episode very much reminds me of 2005 to 2010 Doctor Who. This is some of Stephen Moffat's best work, arguably. It gives me those vibes of some of his better episodes, and this episode was genuinely great, and probably one of the best episodes we've got in many years. As much as I like the lighter tone episodes of the previous two, Space Babies and The Devil Called respectively, this episode's darker tone was great. Seeing Nucti Gatwa's emotional range alongside Millie Gibson's, it was incredible. They can play very dark characters, very emotional sounding characters very well. They are incredibly emotional in this episode, and it works extremely well, seeing this usually light-hearted Doctor become very serious, almost traumatized. There's this one really incredible scene in the episode where the Doctor is standing on a landmine and the future companion of the show ends up shooting him, because she doesn't understand the severity of what killing him would do to the planet. And what ends up happening is the robotic ambulance comes to try and kill the Doctor, because that's sort of what they've been programmed to do, and instead, to try and get the ambulance away from him, Ruby Sunday has to, on a low setting, shoot the future companion. We get this pretty intense scene where Ruby is hesitating to shoot her, before one of the soldiers turns up and just sees Ruby pointing a gun at their comrade, and ends up shooting Ruby, and actually killing her. She only gets revived by one of the ambulances later down the episode, and you can see the terror in Nucti Gatwa's, the 15th Doctor's face, and it's incredible. This episode reminds me of Hellbent in a lot of ways, it being set in only one place, not really moving a lot, it's just set in this one location, and it really works to the episode's benefit. It gives a sense of isolationism, because the Doctor himself can't move, and we as the viewer aren't moving around a lot either. It's a great episode, and it's performed in a very great way. If people have doubts about Nucti Gatwa or Millie Gibson now, they shouldn't, because this episode is incredible and displays how good they are in the roles that they have been given. There is a line where the Doctor's about to be exploded, and he gives a line that says, "Give it time, everywhere's a beach eventually," which comes a callback to earlier when the Doctor and Ruby land on the planet, and Ruby is disappointed that they're not on a beach. And it's incredibly written, it's emotional, it's a line that you'd expect the 12th Doctor to say, and then later down the line we get a fish custard reference to 11th Doctor, and it's just sweet, it's perfectly written, and it's got great emotional tone. It's also a standalone episode, a bit like Blink and other great Moffat episodes. It's an episode that can be watched separate from the season. We see the snow to do with Ruby Sunday, we see a couple of references to future plots, but it isn't anything that will take you out of the episode, or that you even really notice. And it's great, and even that works to the episode's benefit. It's one of those Doctor Who episodes that I feel like will be spoken about in several years to come, and it's probably up there with some of my favourites, and this might be recency bias, but it is probably one of my favourite Doctor Who episodes in at least the past 10 years. Although Moffat had great episodes when he was showrunner, when he is called back to do singular episodes or a couple of episodes in a series, he delivers. He knows how Doctor Who works, and he came prepared. It's genuinely a great episode, and I felt like I just had to make a video about it. But what were your thoughts on Boom? I personally really enjoyed it, as you can tell, but comment down your opinions. But I've been your host Samuel, and I'll catch you in the next Doctor Who video.